How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. Thanks for doing this with me. I really appreciate it.
No problem.
Okay, cool. So this is Nicole. Nicole, do you want to introduce yourself a little bit? Tell us just how are you? What's happening?
Who am I? Okay. Should I do, where I go to school, or,
Yeah. So just tell me it's a cultural project. So tell me a bit about your culture, but really just tell me about yourself in the lens of
Okay.
your culture. Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm Nicole, as she said, and I'm turning 20. I go to University of Toronto, downtown Toronto, and if we're talking cultural aspects, I was born and raised in Canada, but I'm half Cuban, so I grew up with a lot of Hispanic, Cuban culture, and yeah, the other side of my family is very Canadian, so yeah, very white Canadian. So yeah, that's me.
Oh, that's cool. It's a little bit about me. Say I'm Irish, like Irish German, if that's a thing. I think is what I am.
Mhm.
I don't know, but mainly Irish. I have a very Irish last name, Killian,
Okay, yeah, yeah.
with a K. I grew up in North Carolina, and now I'm a junior in school at Florida State. So, um,
Yay!
yay, go Knowles. Do you
I
guys have a
think
mascot?
I was gonna be like, I think I'm a sophomore. No, I forgot to say I'm a sophomore. And also to add, I think my roots on my dad's side are Scottish, Irish, and English, but pretty far back.
Okay.
Mainly English, but yeah. Mascot, I don't actually know. Our team is called Varsity Blues.
Is the Varsity Blues not? Isn't there a film?
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know if we have a literal mascot. Yeah, my school's not huge on sports.
I mean, mine is, but our mascot is a Indian, so it's been a topic of
Oh,
contention in the U.S.
okay, yeah.
The only thing is we actually discussed it in class the other day. Ours is pretty okay because we work really closely with the tribe that we're named after. We're a tribe, and I think that
Hmm.
the major teams that have had problems, like the Redskins and then the Cleveland,
Yeah,
those maybe were
but
more derogatory terms. Ours
right.
was just a tribe name, and we
So what's it called
we're
actually
the
then?
Seminoles. So
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
so that we have we always before we do anything for game day, we have a cool game day ritual where we have a horse, and an Indian chief rides on the horse. His name is Chief Osceola, but it's really just a student who does
Oh,
it.
okay.
But the student has to go through rigorous training with the Seminole tribe. That
Oh,
I
okay.
think there's one near here, just so we're not trying to appropriate their culture. We want to make it
Right.
as historically accurate as possible. It's still
Well, that's really cool.
yeah, we really try to make it as respectful as possible, but a lot of people still kind of, it's a gray area. So
Okay, that's cool that you mentioned that because here at U of T, my school's actually older than Toronto and Canada itself because
wow,
yeah, because the way it worked was, I guess I'm a little rusty in my history, so I don't know everything, but
we're not gonna know anyway. So you
yeah,
just tell us what you think it is.
true. Well, yeah, sorry if this isn't super accurate, but generally speaking, when we were settled here, um, it was before the Confederation of Canada. That happened a while after people came to this area, and so U of T was built, and Toronto actually was built around the campus.
Oh, that's
So that's
awesome.
pretty cool. And then how it relates to the indigenous thing is we're obviously all on stolen land. So one thing they do to acknowledge that at my school is not every prof does this, but sometimes at the beginning of a lecture they'll say do a little acknowledgement thing. It's it's kind of ritual, but only like in the first class of
each semester.
Like, yeah, exactly.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, and I'm actually taking like an intro to Indigenous Studies course this semester, and it's honestly like one of my favorite courses so far. And it's taught by like a Mohawk man who he like lives on a reserve.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. I really enjoy it. So yeah.
So like, what are you majoring in? Like, is that part of like your program or like?
No, I'm doing. Oh yeah, another thing at my school is like you have to do an honors Bachelor of Arts, which means either a double major, a major, two minors, or specialist. Mm-hmm. So as of right now, I'm doing a specialist in sexual diversity studies, but I may change it. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'll figure it out at the end of the year, I think. But for now, that's what I'm doing because I'm kind of interested in like Indigenous studies, and there's another minor program called like it's like Buddhism and mental illness or something like that kind of thing, which is really interesting. Because I'm taking a course called Buddhist psychology as well, and it like relates to like Buddhist ideals and they're like meditation as it like relates to psychology and mental health.
Like a lot of
okay, yeah.
So basically, it's not like an isolated event. We've had some trouble for like years because I'd be interested to hear like what like your northern chapters and everything, how they do things, but like I'm not gonna say the stereotypes are true, but I'm gonna say that we have like the reputation we have for a reason. We go pretty hard. Sororities don't, you know, like by no means like.
You mean like frats or like?
But so like we kind of lump ourselves together, and I don't know if that's just a Southern school thing, but basically. We're not, like, we have separate councils, like, they're IFC, we're Panhellenic. Like, you guys are Panhellenic. But, it's lumped under two, we're lumped together all the time. And usually, if one of us gets in trouble, the other gets in a little bit of trouble, too. But, for the most part, the girls don't get in trouble. I mean, we have, our Delta Gamma chapter was on suspension anyway, prior to. So, like, they've been punishing individual chapters when they need to be. But what happened is, so let me just tell you about this year in general. So the first incident this year, and I mean, I'm not going to waste my time telling you what good we do. You know, like that's usually the starting point is everyone's like, well, like all you do is this, and like obviously that's not true, like philanthropy is blah, 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 but you know that. So I'm going to skip that.
I know all that, don't worry.
But the first incident, what happened? I mean, last year started to get a little bit bad with hazing allegations, and a chapter got kicked off for 6 years for hazing, but nothing, like, the pledge was fine. And then this year, a particular chapter pitched a TV off the roof during a pregame and almost hit a girl, like, literally almost hit her.
Oh my god.
Had that hit her,
that's
she
crazy.
probably would have had serious injuries. Obviously, like, the regular problems with alcohol and drug usage. But I would argue that's just college students. But I guess if you have that network, it might make it easier. That's, like, the argument. But most recently, there was, I guess last weekend, it all happened so fast, a pledge of the Pi Kappa Phi here. Yeah, Pi Kappa Phi.
I remember seeing that. I was, like, confused because I mean, you probably have too, but there's like Phi Kappa Pi.
Yeah, and they all have nicknames, and then like, the thing is, like, they're the two that are really similar, but then they have nicknames, and I don't know which match to which. So I'm I at no point in time do I know who they're talking about.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
But basically, like, he just drank too much, from what I understand, and then I believe most recently, I'm sure the report is now out, but last I read, I think he like asphyxiated. I think he like threw up and like in his sleep and just choked. So he passed away, and it was like obviously a tragedy. But the thing is, he was at their off-campus house, I think. And the night before was Big Little reveal.
Mm-hmm.
And while no one was making him drink, I'm sure that Big Little Reveal was like a big night for their chapter.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't think that would be a secret for anyone. So basically, it was a tragedy, it was an accident, and then, so that had everyone kind of like, oh no, like, serious
Mm-hmm.
trouble. Obviously, with the most important, like, oh, someone lost their life, and that was a prominent thing, but also we were just like, there's a storm coming. We got to get ready, but, like, no one prepared in time, and not that we really should have even been able to. So that what they started raiding fraternity houses, like the cops, and they found in a particular chapter at our school, they busted like a cocaine ring.
Shit.
So once that, coupled with like the tragedy of the lost pledge, they were like, we need to shut the hell down. Like, something has to change. Mm-hmm. And then I think because we've had, at least during my like almost 3 years at FSU, several chapters have been individually punished, and I've watched some come back after suspension, and I've watched some get kicked off, and it's not really obviously causing much change.
Right.
And so they were like, we've got to be more serious about that. It's kind of like the age-old adage of, like, you know, the slap on the wrist, if that's all you're getting, like, you're gonna do it again. So they're like, we're shutting everything down. And we're on indefinite and that's inclusive of the multicultural sororities and fraternities.
Okay.
Honors fraternities. Anything with Greek letters. Yeah, that's also what we said. I was like, there are 52 organizations that this blankets, and we can't do anything besides eat at our house. I'm not even encouraged to like hang out there, really. Like, it's kind of just like eat, see your sisters, and like leave. We can't. I was actually supposed to be in the skit for homecoming. We can't participate in homecoming anymore. We can't participate in dance marathon. We can't participate in relay. Well, we can, but we have to do it individually. There's no team aspect, and that I think that's gonna hurt the fact that there's no like community sense. You know, because like a lot of the time we'd fundraise like via like try to beat your sisters because you get like incentives.
Yeah.
Well, we'll still be involved, but like we can't at all. We can't do anything under our letters at all.
Right.
You can't go on any trips. We're in a weird limbo because like.
Okay.
All right, tell me a song I should look up.
Okay, hold on. Let me get my iPod.
Hell yeah.
Because I'm old school.
No, I wish I still had my iPod. It shattered into 1,000 like tiny pieces like 2 years ago, so I no longer have both. God.
Like, I don't know, so I'm like, I guess Spotify would be cheaper, but I'm a purist. I don't know. Like, I've been listening to Hayley Kiyoko a lot lately.
I love her. Which one?
Like, I don't know, like, I downloaded her whole, EP, like, this, you probably can't see it. Hold on. Citrine, can you see that? There we go.
There. Okay.
Yeah,
okay, I've got it on Spotify.
Okay. Yeah, because my favorites are Feelings and Sleepover. But Growl de Tempo is so catchy.
Alright, let's go. Here we go. When did this come out?
2016.
Oh, I like it.
It's so catchy.
I'm adding it to my library right now.
I love her music videos.